Welcome students to the class of English Literature. I am Sudhanshu Bharti, Assistant Professor of English Literature. Today we are going to see Geoffrey Chaucer as a writer of 14th century literature and his importance and contribution to the age of English literature. Because why we are doing Geoffrey Chaucer? Because he is one of the important writer of English literature. UGC will going to ask some question on him for sure. So today, before we start with this lecture, first we will see the historical background of 14th century literature in which Chaucer lived. Chaucer lived during the age of 14th century. He was born in 1342 and he died at the end of this period in 1400. And he was living during the time period of Edward III, Richard II and Henry IV. Basically, there is an assumption that his literary works were divided into three phases of his life. They are named as the French period, the English period and the Italian period. We all know that Geoffrey Chaucer fought in the 100 Years of War as well. So first we need to understand about the major event of the 14th century, which is 100 Years of War. This is the historical background of the age. The 100 Years of War was a war fought between two nations, England and France. And the date is 1337 to 1453. The second historical event of the age was the Black Death. The Black Death and the date is 1348. And the third historical event of the period is the Peasant Revolt. And we witnessed Peasant Revolt in 1381. So now come to the works of Geoffrey Chaucer, and his works, as I mentioned, divided into three phases of his life. The first phase is the French period, and in that period, first he wrote a work during his imprisonment, and the work is the Roman of the Roses. The second important, you can say, work in this period is the Book of the Duchess. Why Book of the Duchess is important? Because this is an elegy written on the death of Blanche of Lancaster. UGC can ask some question on this work as well. But the most prominent period of his life is the English period and the Italian period. And first we have to know why we are studying Geoffrey Chaucer. Because Geoffrey Chaucer was the first man who basically realized the importance of English as a language, and he was the first man who focused on the usage of English as a medium of language for literature. And for his contribution for his contribution to the English literature, he is also named as the father of English literature. And now we are going to see his contribution to literature in his Italian period. So the first work to be discussed under Italian period is Troilus and Cresside. Why Troilus and Cresside is important? Because this is the first work in which he used a new meter of English language or English poetry that is named as rhyme royal. Rhyme royal is employed by Geoffrey Chaucer, and this is the most important contribution of him for English language and for English poetry. So now it is mandatory for us to understand what is rhyme royal. A rhyme royal is a stanza of 7 decasyllabic lines in iambic pentameter. And you can write down the rhyme scheme as well. It is A B B C C. And there is one more thing. Why we called it royal? Because it is employed by a king who is under the category of Scottish Chaucery, whose name is James I of Scotland. is James I of Scotland who used rhyme royal in his famous work King's Square. And from then onwards, royalty is added to the rhyme introduced by Geoffrey Chaucer, and we now named it as rhyme royal. So rhyme royal is employed by Geoffrey Chaucer for the first time in his work Troilus and Cresside. Now let us go to the second work of this period. The work is Parliament of Fowls. This you can read Parliament of Fowls. This is again an important work. And the third is the House of Fame. House of Fame is also a work under the period of Italian. And the last one is Annelida and Archite. Yes, there is one more work, Legend of Good Woman. Even this has an importance. Why? Because like in Troilus and Cresside, Chaucer has introduced a meter, rhyme royal. He has used a different meter which is known as heroic couplet in Legend of Good Woman. Yes, this is the same heroic couplet which is later used by, and you can say later perfected by John Dryden and Alexander Pope. And there is also a phrase used for John Dryden that he found it brick and left it in a marble. So this is the phrase used for Dryden because he perfected that heroic couplet which was first introduced by Geoffrey Chaucer in his work Legend of Good Woman. But now, what is heroic couplet? You can write it down. Heroic couplet is two consecutive lines of iambic pentameter and whose end words rhyme in like double A or double B. So we have discussed about Geoffrey Chaucer and the two major periods of his life, French and Italian. Now let's come to the most prominent period of his life, that is English period. Yes, we are now going to talk about his Canterbury Tales. The Canterbury Tales is widely popular nowadays as well, and it is taught in many universities and it is included in the syllabus of many universities. So this work was first written in 1478. Yes, there is one more thing. From where Chaucer get the idea of writing Canterbury Tales? The idea came from, you can say, Boccaccio's work Decameron. Decameron is, you can say, the inspiration behind Canterbury Tales. So Canterbury Tales is a work under English period of Geoffrey Chaucer written in 1478. In Canterbury Tales, we have a journal prologue which gives us the, you can say, inside view of the society of 14th century literature. And then we have the tales of different characters. So how many characters are there in Canterbury Tales? There are total 30 characters, included the host of these tales whose name is Harry Bailey. And Harry Bailey is Chaucer himself. So the scenario of Canterbury Tale is like that. They all pilgrims are going on a shrine and they are moving towards to the shrine of Saint Thomas Becket. And now Chaucer says, the host says that they have planned to pass the time in between. So there is a task given to every pilgrim who is a part of this journey, that the single and each character will recite two stories by going and two by coming back. And according to the host of the Canterbury Tales, whoever will tell the best story will be regarded, will be, you can say, rewarded with a meal, free meal at the Bard Inn. So this is the, you can say, contribution of all the pilgrims. But so if we multiply all these tales, like there are 30 characters and every character will going to tell 4 stories in total. So we can say there may be 120 stories, but this is not the case. There are only 24 stories existing today, and this is an incompleted work of Geoffrey Chaucer. So now in this lecture we came to know about the works of Geoffrey Chaucer, and this is not an inside view of the works written by him. Surely we are going to talk about all these works separately, and we will make a video on each we can say on each book separately. So thanks for watching this video. I hope you all will like this video. Thanks a lot.